witnessing an epic in the making, really. A lot of people on the last day were saying that we should be very wary of the fact that when one is wounded with a knife, the moment the knife comes out, the blood is even, or the pain is even worse. However, what we saw the moment the ceasefire was announced was a demonstration of strength, uh, of the fact that not a single for not a single moment did the people of Gaza give up their claim to justice, give up their claim to their land. The clarity with which they approach their own cause of justice, and the selflessness with which they understand their own positioning in the world was symbolically strong. It was insane to see that there is still exactly the same strength, despite the fact that this is a place where the only other historical moment that really we can look at as a key to this one that lives long in the, let's say, at least the European memory, is the Holocaust. And for these people to have been survivors of something that is so gruesome, so unimaginable for the human mind, and yet so full of resistance. And if and with Israel's claim that it will its military goal is to eliminate any source of Palestinian resistance, that demonstrates that Israel is indeed blind, because through its military strategizing, despite its very overwhelming military development, very overwhelming capacity, it's still very blind towards understanding that no matter how many people you kill, no matter how much destruction you put, no matter how much loss there is, the clarity, the truth with which the people of Gaza see and understand is not something that will be wavering. And even if today people are grieving, tomorrow they'll be very ready. It's a new reality, and really for generations to come, those images will be played back and back again. However, also when that day came, the ceasefire, it comes with so much fear. I have one friend from Gaza who said, "Oh, Gaza, your joy is so full of sadness and ache. The bodies that are being discovered every single day, and not for a single moment could I ever imagine." If I were to find my mother as la samahullah, as a skeleton, that mere idea of how much cruelty there is, it's beyond anything that we've been talking about for the past 76 years. And yesterday I had met one a colleague and friend who's a doctor in Gaza, and the horrors that he described to me are unfathomable. So while the people of Gaza themselves have a little bit of a sense of relief, there's also a question of how the rest of us react to this. And in reality, not only are we holding our breath, because of the fact that this is guaranteed only for 42 days. And even with that, a child was killed today or yesterday, I think. And we hold our breath to see how far could this demonstration of sadism and absence of justice could go. And we hold our breath with a very, very, like, at this moment, the most important thing is to simply just keep on believing that the justice, truth, al-adl and haq have a way to come, even though all the material conditions drive us to think the other way around. So it's a very complex, I think, feeling that none of us have ever felt before, but also a complex way of going about our strategizing and how we understand our own personal position towards all of this.
Yes, Dr. Shahd, and also Youmna, this obviously is about mixed emotions. It's about mixed feelings, particularly for someone like yourself who spent a few months during this genocide in Gaza until the time that you had actually got out. So there are a lot of mixed emotions. But also, what is extraordinary for me is when I looked at this 15 months of unrelenting bombardment that taken place, and as Dr. Shahd alluded to, sadistic in more ways than one. We've heard of terminology that we haven't heard before. With this genocide, there's talks of babycide, there's talks of feticide, of genocide, of medicide. All of this actually put together tells us that this is has been one of the most horrific experiences that we've gone through. And despite all of that, we still see that glimmer of hope in Palestinians when they came out in their numbers to celebrate the ceasefire as well. We still see that there's still so much optimism on their part that ultimately they have been victorious to an extent, and we see this as well, where a lot of analysts have talked about this has been a remarkable victory for the people of Palestine, because this occupying entity has not achieved its objectives in any way whatsoever.
Well, also, if you look at it, it's because in the past 15 months, despite all the international diplomatic efforts, and I do want to emphasize diplomatic efforts because they did not go beyond condemnation in calling out for the wrongdoings or some wrong practices practiced by the Israeli army, including also Western and international media that covered and censored a lot of what the Israeli soldiers themselves were posting out and bragging about on social media platforms. Now, during all these past 15 months, with everything that the Palestinians have been going through from day one, all sectors of Palestinians, each and every person that Israel has treated as a legitimate target from day one, that it is okay to kill, to torture, to displace, to eliminate. These Palestinians did not find one international power to back them up against this ongoing genocide. They had to go through it alone. They survived it alone. The people of the world in different countries, they are the ones that started protesting, shouting out, condemning, calling, but people do not have that changing power that governments and international bodies have. So, regardless of all the United Nations resolutions that were taken during this genocide, regardless of the ICJ and ICC rulings, nothing really stopped Israel from its practices against the Palestinians from day one until the day that the ceasefire was implemented, those hours when the list of names for the hostages were delayed to be presented by Hamas. Over 30 Palestinians were killed. That in itself is a breach to a discussed and agreed ceasefire. And yet, everybody was, everyone, all parties, all international parties and governments involved in that agreement were completely quiet about this. So every single practice, criminal atrocity, criminal practice and atrocity, war crime committed against the Palestinians by the Israeli army was completely okay. It was acting with full impunity from day one till the day of the ceasefire. So Palestinians now, during phase one of this agreement, they're worried because they don't know what's waiting for them next. We're hearing until now, regardless of a signed agreement on 3 phases that has been published by different parties, we're still hearing that Minister Smotrich agrees to stay in the Israeli government because he was promised by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that this war is going to resume after the hostages or the Israeli captives are freed. What does that tell you? Palestinians don't have that sense of belief in any party, any other international body or party, because they were left alone in the most brutal genocide modern history has ever witnessed. They were completely left alone.
Yes, Youmna. And let's bring Linah Abu Jaradeh with us. Linah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh and welcome.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you for having me.
Yes, wonderful you're able to join us. Linah, I know you are in Jordan at this point in time. And I just needed to obviously understand, and I think just following on from what Youmna is saying as well, that we cannot get into a comfort zone as far as this temporary ceasefire is concerned, because anything can give at any moment in time. And as we are speaking right now, we see what is happening in the West Bank as well. We've seen the numerous arrests that have been taking place. People are still being killed as well. And it's not only the occupying entity. Now we've got even obviously the PA banning media organizations like Al-Jazeera in the West Bank area as well. So a lot is still taking place and playing out in the background as well. And we cannot get into our comfort zone. But just coming back to the ceasefire in terms of looking at it in Jordan, looking at the people that you've interacted with, and what is the general sentiment as far as the ceasefire is concerned from your side, Linah?
Yeah, the sentiments in Jordan, like we take the cue from the people of Gaza. So we saw that the people of Gaza were celebrating, they were in the streets. I mean, I've heard a lot of American friends saying that there's nothing to celebrate, that the Palestinian cause isn't over, that this isn't really a victory, that the fighting is going to resume. Like all of these kind of negative viewpoints, very realistic viewpoints. But at the same time, we see that Gazan children were out celebrating, that the people of Gaza are feeling so much joy for, even if it's a pause, it's something, it's a respite, it's something for them to take a breath, and hopefully it's more permanent. But the fact that they saw it as a victory means that we should also see it as a victory. We should see it as really one of the biggest examples of resilience, of strength. The people of Gaza have done what I think no other people could have done, to be patient and optimistic and in the face of a genocide. And so people were out in the streets, people were, passing out sweets. We've been living through these past 15 months a genocide that was, that was live streamed on our screens. And for most people in Jordan, and as you know, like over 50% of the population are of Palestinian origin, we were living through this day by day. And we also celebrated with them as soon as they celebrated. So there were lots of protests, lots of people went to the streets to celebrate. And it's interesting to see that the Arab countries are kind of saying, like, why weren't we thanked in Abu Ubaida's speech? Or this is due to our efforts. And Youmna said it best, that really the only efforts that were made were very weak diplomatic efforts. And so there's no one to thank for this except the Gazan resistance and the Gazan people. Nothing else, not the UN, not any unilateral organization or governmental organization. It was just the people of Gaza.